What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if there'll be DLC to Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, I gotta be honest, I wasn't going to make this video, but I saw a lot of people in comments on Twitter and a lot of other places asking me to, and I am a person of the people. I've always considered that's actually my slogan. So I felt, okay, you know what? I wasn't going to do it, but I do feel like it's a discussion we can have. My answer is pretty easy. I think it could definitely upset people. It's okay. I mean, again, it's just opinionated, right? And ultimately, we're looking forward to the future of Spider-Man games. That's kind of the whole point of this, right? That we're very, I would say, optimistic, and it's a good outlook, all right? So, as always, if you guys are new to the channel, or if you are not new, but you haven't subscribed yet, make sure, as always, you are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. And if you super like my content, but maybe you think there's just a little bit too much of it, I don't blame you. I have a second channel. It's called Podcast Now Plus. Plus is in the word. I'll leave a link for it in the description below. I only do one video a day on that channel, so if you guys want to subscribe over there, you may find that you like that channel better. I don't know. All right, so let's talk about this, and I'll spoil it right away. I'll spoil it right around this 1 minute-ish mark. Is that I do not believe we're gonna get DLC for Miles Morales. Okay, now it's interesting because what does DLC mean is probably now, I guess, downloadable content. There's a definition for it, but I would say, like, what we got with Spider-Man in the City That Never Sleeps, right? The 3 DLC pack that they had, okay? Now, I didn't get it when it came out. Not Spider-Man, like the DLC. I bought it all together back like a year ago. So last January, I actually went back, I played through Spider-Man, I platinumed it, and then I bought the DLC and 100%ed all the DLC, okay? So because I wanted to be completely, like, good for Miles. Actually, for just the future, really, it was just kind of a New Year's resolution to try and beat games, okay? That was actually my goal. We didn't know Miles existed at the time. All right, so, you know, it had a purpose, and I remember back then, back when the game came out, I mean, the DLC was, I would say, very well done in terms of, you know, you play the game, and it's not a game you're going to be in all that long. I mean, I know there's going to be people of all ages, not just kids, not just adults, like all ages, that, you know, you could spend hours just swinging around the city, and games like this really do, like, touch people in not a negative way. They touch people in that it's so amazing to be able to experience Spider-Man and to be able to swing around and do just all the things you can do in these games. I mean, I've seen it. You see it on Twitter all the time of, like, you know, like a 7-year-old or 6-year-old or just grown adults. They're just swinging around the city for hours just having fun. So, like, the game has, in a way, that replayability, or it's got the ability to have people just play it for a long period of time, even after they beat the game. But in reality, even to platinum this game, I mean, Spider-Man, it was only like 20, 21, 22 hours. You know, it wasn't that long, okay? The DLC added to it, and I think it did a really, really good job. Miles, the reason I say no is actually pretty darn simple. You gotta focus on your priorities. Now, you could say, well, why did they do the DLC to that one? Yeah, good question. Was it literally just to expand upon it? Was it to, you know, keep people in that game going through I think it could have been that, because didn't it come out like almost monthly, and it ended in December? Did it end in December? Maybe in January? So, like, it went through the holidays, so that if you were getting this game for Christmas, I think if you got it for Christmas and you got the DLC, you would have been able to experience not just the base game that everybody got in September, but then 3 DLC packs, right? So I almost think they did it not specifically for the holidays, but I think that was kind of in their mind as well. Miles is different. Miles is a spin-off game. Miles is I don't say this in a negative way, like a glorified DLC, which is similar to, like, Uncharted, The Lost Legacy. Okay, well, again, not a bad thing, like where you could picture it as DLC, but it's actually like its own game, but a cheaper game, right? We've talked about that like 100 times before. So, like, that's what this game is. And, you know, you look at Spider-Man 2, right? You look at Ratchet and Clank, you look at whatever other games Insomniac is working on. Do they have time to come up with a DLC thing for Miles? I would say no. I don't think they have the time for it. I also think, like, is it worth it? Do you really need it? Another thing to consider, too, is sales, which I know, you know, we've talked about sales a bunch, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but the game didn't do, like, all that incredible, okay? Do you really want to continue? Because I think this is known, but yet again, people surprise me sometimes with what they do and do not know. The DLC never does remotely close to the game. So say the game sells 1 million. I'm not saying Miles did that. In fact, right now, we don't actually know specifically the numbers Miles sold, but let's say 1 million just for fun, just to make it like an even number. The DLC probably gets 10 to 20% of people. It doesn't do, now of course it fluctuates. There could be DLC that does more, there could be DLC that does less, but you're not gonna get the same amount of people that bought the game to buy the DLC. Never happened, never will happen, never has happened, okay? So if you have DLC and say you have a 2-pack or a 3-pack or whatever you want to do, you're not going to even get remotely close to the amount of people that bought the base game to buy it. And if the number is already low, and again, like, I'm not saying like it's so low that you just have to kind of abandon it, but if it's low enough where the DLC would do even worse, and it's like, all right, well, and you combine that. This is a combining thing where, all right, well, we are working on Spider-Man 2, and we need you guys that were working on Miles join the team, like all hands on deck. That's what I think internally is going on there. You know what I mean? There's no fighting. I don't think there's any like negativity there, but I think like when Miles was out or when Miles was getting close and when it was actually like finished, okay? It's all hands on deck for Spider-Man 2. Because Spider-Man 2 is it's a full-blown game. You're going to need everybody there. You know what I mean? I don't think work on the next, even if they do another spin-off game, like a Spider-Gwen thing or something like that. Like, I do think that's possible, but like that I don't think would start until Spider-Man 2 is very close to being finished. Like maybe the last year of development of Spider-Man 2 would they even start to consider the next game after. All right? And that is more common knowledge. That's normally how gaming developers work. Okay, so I wouldn't say like it's not a good idea. I also would say though that like they did what they wanted to do with Miles. Now, I guess you could argue they did what they wanted to do with, you know, the base Spider-Man game, right, where they didn't necessarily need the DLC. I would say, though, the DLC did tried to close up or even expand in some ways different storylines that did appear in the base game, whereas Miles, everything that happens in the base game kind of gets solved. The main villains kind of get defeated. The Prowler and all that stuff that kind of comes full circle and gets resolved. Of course, I guess you could do more of that. Like the Tinkerer, that gets resolved. Everything in this game kind of finishes. He reunites with Spider-Man. So, like, if this is a thing after Miles, which it has to be, right? If they do story DLC, it has to be after the main game. How do you do that? Do you then implement like the co-op thing that we've talked about? Like, can you play as both of them? That's pretty sophisticated. That's asking a lot. That seems like something that they would first debut in Spider-Man 2, not in the DLC for Miles Morales. So yeah, and again, like, also, let's not kid ourselves. This is kind of the last thing I want to say. Let's not kid ourselves. Like, this is like a spin-off game. So this, you know, is $50. It would have been $40, right, if the whole PlayStation family didn't get a price jump. You look at, again, like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is the best comparable to this game, $40. Did you see that get DLC? No. Why would you give DLC to a game that it's not like a bloated DLC to start, but it's kind of a spin-off of a DLC. You know what I mean? So, you know, I know I spent a lot of time on something that maybe a lot of people would just immediately say no to, but I kind of wanted to give some examples or some reasons as to, and hopefully I did, hopefully you guys liked it, as to why I don't think there'll be DLC. Would it be the worst idea in the world? No. Would I pick up Spider-Man in an instant to play DLC? Absolutely. Absolutely I would. At the same time, it's a game that you kind of get what you get. You experience it and you're done. It's the whole point of the game too, really, is to tie you over, right, until Spider-Man 2. It's to just get you through it, get you through like these extra couple of years until we get the base game. And I get, you know, I guess you could argue, well, they could keep giving you DLC and leading right into the game. Yeah, but don't forget there's people that make these games. You know what I mean? And there's only so many people. There's only so many resources. So I would say I'm not expecting it whatsoever. I really don't think we'll get it. I think the next thing of Spider-Man news we'll get in general will be Sony announcing, you know, Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. So that's what I think is coming next. I don't think that's coming anytime like really, really soon, but I do think that's the next thing that happens. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Could the game use DLC? What would you want the DLC to be? And again, I guess this doesn't include like skins, or like suits. They could totally do that. That I wouldn't really consider DLC, right? Because I'm thinking things you maybe have to pay for, substantial things. I'm not really thinking just a random suit here, random suit there. I think they can do that. In fact, I think that they will do that. Okay, so I guess I should probably have said that in the beginning, but I said it at the end, and that's okay. So let me know what you guys think. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turn on. Again, if you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, we're getting very close to 3,000 subscribers there. Would love to hit that mark as soon as possible. I'd love to have you guys supporting me in either place. Thank you all so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. More Spider-Man talk, trying to do it every week or so on the channel. I hope to see you guys there.